Hi, y'all. Welcome back. This is Serena, and we're here with Energy Alchemy, where we take the raw material of our lives and make it better with attention and intention. So, it's been a minute since I recorded a video because of the thing that I want to talk about today. And that is dissolving a problem. My thought is that most of the time, well, not my thought, my experience has been that most of the time when I'm working on something with the law of attraction or manifesting, it's usually to create something new. That's usually the way I'm thinking about it. I don't know if that's true for everyone. But there's also an element of it where we want to not create something new, or where we want to uncreate something that may be in existence. A good example of that is if you have financial debt, like you might be thinking, I want to create money, but you also want to be thinking, I want to uncreate this debt. So I had an interesting experience. It's been almost a month now, I would say, related to dissolving a problem. And I kind of did this on my own, and at the same time, I was really interested in this idea of dissolving a problem, and I had heard of a book of that name by a man named Richard Dotz, and I had heard of that from a law of attraction teacher named Tim Grimes. And I highly recommend his podcast on Spotify. He's also on YouTube. I love the podcast. I have to admit, because, there's no commercials and it's really chill. His YouTube's, I haven't watched as much, but he's the person who turned me on to Richard Dotz. Let me tell you a little bit of the story of what I did and how it manifested. And then I'll talk about the book. And potentially another resource as well that can help you dissolve any problems that you have in your life, or perceived problems. To the divine, there's never a problem. So my situation was such that I got a postcard that I was being called to jury duty. This has happened to me a number of times since I've lived in Olympia, Washington, where I make my home. I've lived here 17, 18 years. Never once happened to me in my old home in Wisconsin. I think because it's a smaller community. I've never served on a jury, and it's just not something that I personally want to do with my time, especially right now. It can be a noble thing to do. I did not want to do it right now. So this came up. And basically, it's a whole week that they have you set aside. And, I'm my own boss and I'm self-employed. So and I take appointments with clients, so I'm not able to schedule anything during that week in case I have to be at jury duty. So that just felt kind of odious for me. Didn't want to do it. And so I was approaching it from this very manifestational standpoint, of course, because that's what I do. And I decided to not think about it as much as possible. But at the same time, I did have to kind of prepare for it in case it happened. There was also some other things happening in my life. I do readings at a local shop a few times a month. And I was scheduled to read, I think, the weekend before and the weekend after that I was being called for jury duty. So it was like I had all of this responsibility. And we were in a place in my town that they were saying we were going to have this big blizzard, a huge snowstorm. And I was just like, oh my God. Am I going to be able to get downtown to do my work? Am I going to be able to even get groceries? Do I have to go to jury duty, and sounds kind of silly, but it's up this big hill, and I have, I just with the snow possibility and everything. It was all kind of a stressor for me. I don't enjoy snow. I'm from Wisconsin. I live in Washington. We don't have very much snow here. And so I usually try to dissolve any snow that might be coming, which we're supposed to have some more tonight, maybe. But anyway, I effectively dissolved the blizzard. I was just like, that's not going to happen. That's just not happening. That's not going to happen. And I just kind of thought in my mind, like, it's not going to happen. At the same time, I did go to the grocery store and made sure we had enough stuff just in case. And then it turned out that we totally did not have a blizzard. And I went to my work at Psychic Sister, and that was fine. And it also turned out that Monday was, I think it was Martin Luther King Day. So when I called in about jury duty, there was nothing happening on the Monday. And they said I didn't have to be there for Tuesday. So right off the bat, I was taken out of Monday and Tuesday. And then I called Wednesday and they said there were no more cases for that day. And then I was just kind of like tired of the whole experience because it was stressing me out. I wanted to be done. I wanted my time back. That's very important to me. And so I just decided that they were going to excuse me for the rest of the week. Now, this was something that was already in my consciousness because that's happened to me before when I had been called to jury duty. So it wasn't like this brand new idea. It was something that I already had, like a neural network that said this could totally happen. But I just decided it was going to happen. And so whatever night it was when I had to call in, I think Wednesday night for Thursday, I just kept saying, they're just going to excuse me. And I did a whole rampage about it. I was like, my time is my own. I am super free. They are going to excuse me. I'm done for the week. I don't have to deal with this anymore. I'm totally free. And I was rampaging that. And then I did a 15-minute session of affirmations where I kind of like chill out and meditate. And the whole time I did the affirmation, everything is always working out for me. That's one of my favorites. It's from Abraham Hicks. It's nice and general, and especially if you can believe it. I do believe that one because I have seen it in my life that everything does tend to work out. So that's a really good one for me. You want to pick affirmations that feel good for you. So I did that for 15 minutes straight. Then I called and they excused me for the rest of the week. And I was like, yes. It was like one of the best feelings, honestly, when I dissolved that. So that was a really positive experience as far as feeling my power and feeling like, oh, cool, I manifested that. And just feeling like I can put a problem to the side. So, like I said, I was aware at that time of this book called Dissolve the Problem, but I hadn't really read it before I went through that experience and actually dissolved my own problem. But then I went back and I got it and I read it and it was really interesting. So he has 3 S's. I do recommend this book if you're drawn to this topic of dissolving a problem. The first one is soften. The second one is shift, and the third one is stay. This is just a paraphrasing of this book by me. It's been a couple weeks now since I read it, so it's probably not going to be a perfect paraphrasing, but I love that this system that he's come up with for dissolving a problem, you can kind of easily keep in your mind. Like that part I've definitely kept in my mind. So soften being you have this problem, and you want to just kind of put it down somewhere, kind of put it to the side. You don't have to deny it because that sometimes will make it feel stronger, but you want to just kind of put it over somewhere off to the side so it's not front and center. You want to soften your consciousness about it, that like maybe you don't have to carry this, right? I'm not sure if I got that explanation quite right, but that's the way I see it. Like in my mind, I'll even like see myself taking the problem like it's in a little box or something and putting it down outside a door. I go through a door, I leave the problem outside, that's just like softening it. It's not saying it doesn't exist, but it's just like, I'm not really going to carry this. And then shift, he has a whole meditation that you do in the shift part of it, where you shift into a reality where you do not have this problem. You imagine what it would be like, you feel what it would be like if this thing were taken away from you, whatever it is. You know, maybe it's a pile of debt, maybe it's an illness, maybe it's jury duty, maybe it's something else you want to get out of. You just feel into your life as to like, what would that be like if I didn't have this? And then you do that practice as much as you need to. And then the third one is stay. And that sounds simple, but it is something that it is going to take some focus and some effort, because stay is to then stay in that space as much as you can, in whether you're in meditation or you're in waking life, you know, your 24/7 experience. You want to stay in that feeling that that problem is no longer with you. I'm wondering if it was the same guy. I think it was the same guy. I really like the way he talked about this related to finances. This was in a separate book. Again, the author is Richard Dotts, D-O-T-T-S. I had not heard of him until Tim Grimes was talking about him, but I like this guy. He talks about, like, say you have a financial worry or a pile of debt. You only want to really be thinking about that as little as you can to take care of it. He says, I think 1% of the day, which is like 15 minutes. Take 15 minutes in your day, whatever you need to manage, whatever you need to figure out to actually take care of the 3D so that you're not making a bigger mess in your 3D reality. But then the rest of the time, 99% of your time, keep your consciousness in the reality where that problem doesn't exist. So, I really like this idea. I really like this practice. And it was fun that I had just pretty much experienced success at it in something that wasn't hard for me to feel like I could be successful. There was another practice that came up. And that one was about, my friend sent me this. I think the book was called The Charisma Myth. I can't think of the author. I can put it in the notes. And she calls it a transfer, where if you have a problem, you take it in like meditation or whatever, and you just give it to God. This isn't a new idea. I even have like a little piece of paper that my mom had written down, like, hi, this is God. I will be handling all your problems today, or something like that. But in this practice, you just take whatever is weighing on you and you give it to the higher power, and you trust and you surrender. And do that as many times as you need to release it. Just give it away. And then you do your best to stay in the reality, in your mindset, in your heart space, that you are free from it because you've let it go. So I am excited to hear about people practicing this. If you have practiced it, or if you're interested in more, to do a little experimenting. I always think it's really important for us to experiment with these techniques. Everyone's different. So to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you, do what feels right for you. If you're interested in working with me more, I do one-on-one sessions. I call it Energy Alchemy Sessions. And I also do have a group called the Energy Alchemy Sacred Community. And that is a membership group. And it's very, very, very affordable if you would like to have my support in creating your reality. I also work with people on astrology. I have all different methods that I use to work with energy, so that we can take that raw material, we can get to know ourselves really well, and then do the best we can with it, again, through intention and attention. So that's all for today. Be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, share it with anyone who you think might find it beneficial. And hope you have a great rest of your day. Ciao.